had to be wound down. We had Al-Qaeda and bin Laden still to try to dismantle. We had the economic crisis that was just hanging over everything. So there was a lot on our plate. But early in the first term, the President and I talked about what we wanted to do to try to reach out and be more involved with our Latin American friends. And the President went to the Summit of the Americas in April of 2009, and we began working on some key issues like extending electricity throughout the entire hemisphere, like dealing with climate change, working to provide opportunity for poor and indigenous populations that didn't have adequate schooling and support, working with governments like Mexico to deal with the drug traffickers, and we've seen the result of years of very good cooperation just recently with the capture of Guzman. So we had a lot that we wanted to do in order to show that we were real partners, that the days of Big Brother, of some of the policies in the past, which I would certainly regret and not defend, we wanted to support democracy and economic prosperity because it was happening throughout Latin America. However, there were several places where things were either not moving or going backwards. Certainly, Cuba remained undemocratic, and unfortunately, despite President Obama's willingness to try to engage and work with the Castros and the government there was no movement. And we saw Venezuela, which is such a rich country, a beautiful country, going backwards, first under President Chavez's rule, now in the present day with President Maduro. Well, we tried. We tried to engage with President Chavez at that very first meeting. President Obama had said to me, and we had talked about it, if I meet him, I will be cordial, I will shake his hand. It happened, lots of pictures, and then unfortunately, rather than it being an opening to find ways to work together, it was just a photo op, and unfortunately it went backwards instead of forwards. We were very involved in supporting a free press in Venezuela, in looking for ways to support a legitimate political opposition, and it has been difficult, and we have regretted what has happened there. The protests that are going on now, many of them by university students, are really demanding a more accountable government, a more inclusive government, a government that makes policies based on evidence, not ideology, that tries to understand what it's going to take for Venezuela to get back on the right track economically. Look to Colombia, one neighbor, look to Brazil, another neighbor. They're on a real positive trajectory. So the United States certainly is not only concerned with, but invested in better relations, more cooperation with our southern friends. Venezuela is a difficult situation because it is a country that is not being well governed, and it's a democracy. No one would argue that it isn't, but a democracy doesn't just mean an election. A democracy means a free press, protecting the rights of opponents, protecting a free economy, having an independent judiciary. So other than elections, there aren't very many characteristics of a real democracy right now in Venezuela. But we're going to keep doing what we can to try to support positive change, peaceful change, which is the best way to go. But it's a situation that we've given a lot of thought to, but are not yet seeing changes being made at the top that will help Venezuela get back on the right track.
Well, you can almost go around the world with these very complex situations. And Joanna Ishmael, who's an undergraduate in business administration,